Now let's look at the expansion of the Muridiya in more early time or in contemporary time. As I discussed earlier, the Murid have always shown propensity to mobility. But the aftermath of World War II was marked by an intensification of this tendency. And this period can be conceived as the beginning of the contemporary Murid diaspora. The 1970s witnessed an acceleration of Murid settlement in the cities of Senegal and Africa, particularly in Côte d'Ivoire, Gabon, and Congo. The Daira was one of the principal tools that helped the establishment of a Murid diaspora in the cities of Senegal and Africa. Daira is an urban religious institution that functions as a sort of prayer circle where disciples living in the same town or neighborhood would meet on a weekly basis to read the Quran, chant Ahmadu Bamba's religious odes, and socialize. In the urban context, the Daira helped develop, preserve, and reproduce the values that shaped Murid identity. These values are faith, trust in Cheikh Ahmadu Bamba, hard work, and self-reliance. The Daira also fostered a link of solidarity and provided new immigrants a familiar and supportive environment. The Daira assisted in the organization of religious and social ceremonies such as pilgrimages, marriages, and baptism, and helped repatriate the dead in the cemetery of Touba or other holy Murid cemeteries in Senegal. When the Murid started to move out of Africa in the 1960s, they took with them the education and social values they developed in their heartland of Senegal. In France, where they first settled, they formed linkages between members of the diasporic community, the city of Touba, and the Murid leadership of Senegal. They also celebrated the different magals that mark the religious life of the Murid community and traveled back and forth to perform ziyar or pious visit to the religious guides and pilgrimages to Murid holy sites. It is perhaps more accurate to call these disciples sojourners rather than diaspora because they straddle many boundaries and continue to maintain strong bonds with their community of origins in Senegal. But in Europe and North America, the Murid were not oblivious to the local culture environment. They remained profoundly attached to the positive values of the Muridiyya, but they also showed a great capacity of adaptation. They absorbed some aspect of the local cultures that suited their economic enterprise, and they even incorporated modern organizational methods and techniques to disseminate the teaching of Cheikh Ahmadou Bamba and strengthen the Muridiyya. Disciples in the diaspora played a significant role in the founding and expansion of new types of religious organizations. These are the international dairas, NGOs, and foundations such as Khadim Rasul Foundation, Mika, Hizbut Tarqiyyah, Madlabul Fawdaini, and the all-known daira, and the all-known woman daira Mam Jara Buso, named after Cheikh Ahmadou Bamba's blessed mother. These dairas adopted modern form of management with board of trustees that included disciples around the world and developed efficacious fundraising strategies. The role of these daira and organization was particularly important with regard to education and the modernization of the city of Touba. In the following section, I address more specifically this contribution in the development of the Muridiyya. The Murids of today, like those of yesterday, understand that the message of Cheikh Ahmadou Bamba is fundamentally universal. It is not bounded by geographical, administrative, or cultural frontiers. This understanding is rooted in the Sheikh's own writing. In Mu'ayyibu, as we all know here, he wrote, "Ho ye dwellers of the ocean, ho ye dwellers of the earth, rush toward the ocean of generosity." Last week, our brother Muhammad Balozi was recounting a conversation that he had with late Sheikh Murtala Mbake, youngest son of Cheikh Ahmadou Bamba, some years ago at his home in New Jersey. Sheikh Murtada reminded him of saying of his father, which are relevant to our discussion of today. Cheikh Ahmadou Bamba said that time was coming in the future when the majority of his followers will not be from the Wolof ethnic group or will not be coming from Senegal. It seems to me that the Murid diaspora has taken as its mission to translate this prophecy into reality. The Murid diaspora has a profound and multidimensional impact on the evolution of the Muridiyya. And here I will only retain three aspects for the sake of time: the spiritual and educational, the cultural and the economic. The spiritual and educational aspect. Unquestionably, Cheikh Murtala Mbake played the most significant role in defining and promoting the spiritual and educational function of the Murid diaspora. As early as the 1980s, he traveled throughout Africa, Europe, and the United States, urging Murid disciples to unite, to create Quranic school, to educate people about the message of Sheikh Ahmadou Bamba, and to link up with the Muslim community of the host countries. He encouraged disciples abroad to build community centers which he called Kër Islam, and now that we call Sheikh Serigne Touba, and mosques, and he also implanted branches of the Al-Azhar school abroad in Africa and elsewhere. Disciples in the diaspora responded to this call of Sheikh Murtada in different ways. For instance, Sheikh Abdoulaye Jay from an international Sufi school he named Khidmatul Qadim, and which aimed at spreading the message of Sheikh Ahmadou Bamba around the world. He wrote many books in French, some translated in English, and launched the journal Ndigal, the first Murid international journal that helped greatly disseminate Sheikh Ahmadou Bamba's teachings in Europe, the Indian Ocean, and North Africa and North America. Sheikh Abdoulaye Jay achieved some success in attracting Europeans and Americans to the Muridiyya because he was able to translate the message of Sheikh Ahmadou Bamba in a language meaningful to them. Other disciples in the diaspora invested in the compilation, translation, and edition of Sheikh Ahmadou Bamba's writings. We now see many collections of qasaid edited by Murid disciples in Italy. There are also translations in English of some of the Sheikh's books, such as Masalik al-Jinan, and also of Irwanul Nadim of Sheikh Ahmadou Lamin Diop in English, made by disciples in the United States. In Senegal and abroad, Murids have harnessed the new information and communication technologies as tool of dawah. There are now dozens of Murid websites on the internet, some better organized and more professional than others, but all seek to disseminate the message of Sheikh Ahmadou Bamba. Many books about the Muridiyya have been or are being written in Western languages by members of the Murid diaspora. As I turn to the cultural aspect of the contribution of the Murid diaspora, I would like to stress one enduring feature of the personality of the Murid disciple. The Murids are known for their cultural resilience and their capacity to resist cultural alienation. Whether in the urban centers of Senegal or the Western world, they have consistently weathered the intense pressure to abandon their tradition and to assimilate to local culture. Wherever they go, they bring with them the name of Touba and pictures of the holy city and Cheikh that adorn their houses, businesses, and cars. They never hide their affiliation with a Sufi order and a black saint in a Muslim world where both Sufism and blackness are often looked down upon. There have been many exhibits upon Sheikh Ahmadou Bamba and the Muridiyya in Europe and North America. The first of these was organized by Murid disciple at the headquarters as UNESCO in Paris in 1979. These events were made possible because of the impact that the Murid diaspora had on their host communities abroad. Universities and high schools in the West, and particularly among African American communities in the United States, increasingly show interest in including the Muridiyya in their curricula on Islam and African culture. Murid disciples are proud of their cultural heritage and tradition. In their dress, diet, demeanor, and speech, Murid in the diaspora continue to embody and display important features of Murid lore. One single example here can show us the cultural effect that Murids are having on their host communities abroad. This is Café Touba, a recipe made of a mixture of ground coffee, clove, and other spices invented by Murid disciple in the Dara of rural Bawal, and which has now become an international beverage sought after by people, Murids and others all over the world, and marketed by international companies over the internet. The economy. Café Touba offers us a nice segue to talk about the economic impact of the Murid diaspora. This is a topic that has fascinated journalists, researchers, and policymakers. In the last few years, The Economist of London has devoted many articles to Murid businessmen in Europe. The New Yorker and the New York Times have done the same in the United States. It is estimated that Senegalese expatriates send home every year about 500 billion CFA. That is more than half of the money that the country receives from donors and international financial institutions. Although the part of the Murid diaspora contribute to this amount is not known, it is widely believed that the remittances sent by the Murids form the largest portion of the money that immigrants send annually to Senegal. This is plausible because the majority of Senegalese living abroad belong to the Muridiyya. It is also possible to measure the impact of Murid immigrants on national development by looking at the transformation in the Murid holy city of Touba. Touba has completely transformed within a couple of decades from a small village to the second largest city of Senegal, boasting over 1 million inhabitants with a modern architecture that rivals some cities in Europe and North America. We can cite the hospital built in Touba by the NGO Matlabul Fawzain and the work of the other daira to improve the quality of life in the city. The role of the diaspora in the development of the real estate and housing industry in Senegal is perceptible almost everywhere in the country, particularly in the big cities like Dakar, Cheikh and Kaolack, and cities dominated by the Muridiyya like Louga and Mbacké. The Murid diaspora play a central role in funding the project designed by the Muridiyya leadership in Touba, and with a better organization, it had the potential of achieving even greater things for the community of Senegal and for the community of Touba and Senegal as a whole. We can also see the economic impact of the Murid Daira the Murid diaspora by looking at businesses created in Senegal by former Murid immigrants or by Murids still living in abroad. The appearance of dollar stores and other businesses inspired by the sojourn abroad constitute evidence of the attempts by Murid to put into practice at home the skill that they acquired abroad. This is to say that they are not only repatriating money, they are also bringing with them economic know-how. Murids are also investing in companies at home, although most of their economic contribution go to their families and their sheikhs. Gender is another area where the role of the Murid diaspora is perceptible. In the Muridiyya, women have always played a central role. I can refer here to the persona of Mam Jara Buso and to the daughters of Cheikh Ahmadou Bamba such as Sokhna May Saghir. But Murid women in the diaspora have shown an unusual capacity to thrive economically and culturally. They are always present alongside the men during gatherings, playing their additional role as host, but also working hard and contributing financially. They also constitute dynamic vectors for spreading the influence of the Muridiyya. To sum up these sections, as economics, policymakers, and consultants have said again and again, the Muridiyya constitute a great economic asset for Senegal, and its full potential is yet to be exploited. A few words of conclusion. The recent development of the Muridiyya has put to rest misleading scholarly assumption about its inability to adapt to modernity. In reality, the Murid diaspora has shown an unusual capacity to harness the transformation brought about by modernity and to put those transformations at the service of the Muridiyya. The Muridiyya has become a global movement, as Murid are now found in the 5 continents. But the globalization of the Muridiyya has not resulted in its dissolution into the so-called secular universe of culture. Murids remain confident in their ability to reconcile their beliefs and values with the cultures of their host societies around the world. They believe in the universality and timelessness of Ahmadou Bamba's message. I have explained the different ways in which the Murid diaspora contributed to the preservation and dissemination of this message. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Dr. Babou. jërëjëf waxtaan wi neex na lool